Cool. So let's welcome the next round of panelists. So this will be all about like Web3 developer tooling. So like I don't know how many of you guys build apps, deploy their smart contract, but there is a lot of like platform out there, no-code platform, like pre-built platform, or they're just interacting with different API, costume API. You can import and export like Solidity contracts. So let's get it started. So I welcome Luis, Eda, and Ayman. Are you around? Let's get it out. Oh, yes. So we just missed Ada. Yeah. And we can get a round of quick intro. Get it here. It's good. Cool. So let's start. Quick round of intro. Go for it. Oh, no. Let's start with Ada.
Okay. Okay. I think it works. So hi, everyone. My name is Eda, and I'm a developer at a developer organization called Build Guild. Or Biddle is actually the correct name. Yeah, so I've been at Biddle for the last 2 years, and we're a developer community which focuses on onboarding more developers to the Ethereum ecosystem. I can pass it on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luis Carvajo. I am the founder of a project that's called Botun. We have created a developer ecosystem. We are in the mission of bringing the next 1 million developers from Web 2 to Web 3. So we really focus on Web 2 developers that still don't know how amazing this technology is, to bring them, providing them tooling, infrastructure, but also an engaging way to basically learn and participate and start building their dApps.
And then, hi, everybody. It's Amen. I like to tell people it's Amen like you're praying. Amen. I lead the solutions team at ThirdWeb. At ThirdWeb, we are a Web3 development toolkit. Think of us as a full stack, everything from front end, back end to on-chain components. Basically, anything that a developer needs to build on an EVM blockchain, we provide an open source solution for that, and I lead the solutions team, which just means that I'm the concierge at the ThirdWeb Hotel. So when you show up at the ThirdWeb Hotel, we have a bunch of products. I can point you to where the WC is. I can tell you where you can get a nice dinner. I can get you tickets to the show. So that's what I do.
Nice. So for anybody that doesn't know me, Francesco, I'm part of the DevRel team at Consensus, and I'm excited about developer advocacy since quite a long time. So diving into the topic, right? What are the challenges that you think like we have right now onboarding more developers in the ecosystem?
It's me again. Yeah, I can start. So in my opinion, the main challenge is so we were talking about this the other day too. Like the main difference between like working as a developer relations in Web 2 or like traditional tech versus Web 3 is I feel like you try to convince many people that you should actually look into Ethereum or any public blockchain and start building there, rather than trying to adopt the technologies you're kind of building with. So it's more against like, because when like if you are not on these conferences, hackathons, you usually hear like negative news. So people don't really have any incentives to go like to look into it. It's not as long-term sustainable at getting a job in like traditional tech. So yeah, I feel like the main challenge is kind of to break that stigma, to show like that there is like a vibrant ecosystem here, but it's kind of really hard because you need to dig in to actually show that.
It's a great question, right? And I think that the one that everyone here in the industry, we try to answer. For me, or for us, we see that there are a lot of, we need to explain more what this technology can be used for regular applications. So not just for crypto, not just for decentralized applications, but for regular applications that can benefit from this technology. And we have done a lot of projects or products for traditional companies that want to explore Web3. And we identified what are the things that could work and could not work for them. And that, I think, is important because at the end of the day, some of these developers, they are already working, programming, building different solutions. And the challenge is that they don't know that these solutions can be much, much better if they will be using blockchain technology. So I think that we need to inspire them and show them what that can be built with blockchain that is better what they have today. And I think that is basically the main challenge. So how we do that, how we attract them, how we provide incentives and rewards, I think that is probably the challenge that we have as an industry to bring more people, because we don't have enough developers. And I think that everybody, all the protocols, everyone is basically in alignment on that we need more and more developers to build the internet of the future.
So I agree with what my panelists said. I think maybe there's two themes. I think one of them, Ada, you mentioned, which is there's a PR problem with blockchain. And then the other part of it is, I think, maybe, is it easy for them to start with it? So on the PR problem, I do think that people tend to have a very, and honestly, I think it's us as a community's fault. I don't blame other people for the impressions that they have, but they think of the negative news. They think of it as like a speculative. It's the speculative part of crypto, making money part of crypto, versus a theme that I think could be very compelling if you tell a developer, wait a second, what do you think about a decentralized web? And maybe you tell them an example like Farcaster, where it's like, imagine Twitter, where it's a protocol, but then anybody, maybe at the beginning, everyone thought you could build a Twitter client, but you could truly do that you can experiment and do that. So it's decentralized, and it has built-in payment rails that is permissionless, and that you don't have to go necessarily through, the gatekeepers as it relates to that. That suddenly now sounds different to a developer. And then the easy part, I think now, okay, that sounds kind of cool. How do I get started? That's where now, our mission at Third Web has really been about, okay, how can we make Web3 development like a Web2 developer can do Web3 development? It's the same thing. It's everything that they're used to doing, the same languages. Everything is the same for them. Just include a new library, and now you're suddenly blockchain enabled.
Yeah, that's all the kind of like Rust Web3 development narrative, right? Trying to get Rust developer from Web2 to Web3. Obviously, there are different ecosystem and different environments, but I think that's a big strategy. And you both touch on like, okay, let's get more Web2 developer into the space. And I retro-engineer my question that I thought about a couple of weeks ago, is that what are lessons learned that Web2 were successful that we need to bring in the space, even if we need to bring it?
You said Web2 lessons?
Web2 lessons that we want to bring into Web3 that you think, apart like the usual one, like better UX experience or something.
Yeah, maybe it was a leading in my question that I asked the MetaMask, right? Which is a big part of it is I don't usually lead with my bank account whenever I'm using an application, right? And if you think, I think about a wallet, especially like my MetaMask wallet or things that I'm holding or whatever type of wallet that is, right? I think of it as like that's my bank. So leading with a bank account, I think, is one of the biggest barriers, right, to mass adoption. So I kind of start there. I'm curious what you all would say.
Well, I think that for that kind of question, we have a lot of experience, because when we started Bottom, we started as a B2B company that really trying to explain to big corporations how to incorporate Web3 in their business processes. So we work with more than 100 big brands in Europe, mainly in Latin America, to building products and projects for them. So we understand what these Web2 companies trying to explore or trying to achieve on Web3. What we find out is that we have a PR issue with them to put from MVP to production these projects, but also similar to what happened at the beginning of the internet. I came from Amazon, I see exactly the same. Even when we have an MVP that was working for a specific traditional company, like I don't know, Nestle, Grupo Bimbo, World Bank, these kind of folks that are big guys, we find a problem with their own organization. So from MVP to production, it was a big jump that you need to do. Exactly happened the same at Amazon when they built Amazon Web Services. They tried to sell online businesses, and they couldn't do it because the organization, they didn't know how to create these online businesses. And from that necessity, they create Amazon Web Services. So we need to do exactly the same. So these corporates, these Web2 companies, these Web2 developers understand that the infrastructure for building this application is not so different from what they are using. It's not so difficult to implement in their own organizations, and that basically they can do that easily. So that is how, after all that experience, we put together Bottom to basically bring these Web2 developers in a more easy way. So they can understand in the same language that they have in their corporations, in their jobs, in their regular applications, what they can do with Web3 in an easy way. And I think that that is part of the challenge, right? Show them that there are some processes that they can be better with blockchain than what they are doing, but they are the same processes, so they just need to improve what they are doing, not changing everything or not becoming like, or not even thinking about the bank accounts or the kind of things that all this technology have behind. So I think that that is our approach.
Yeah, and there are different developers in different developer journey, right? When I'm thinking about you both it's more lower in the funnel. Like when I think about Biddle and I don't know how many of you guys use Scaffold ETH, to spin up their dApps. But the cool thing is that it's very top of the funnel, getting also beginner developers starting in the journey, right? And maybe a question for everybody, but obviously for you, Eda, if what are the tooling that you think we're missing for getting these top of the funnel developers more into the space? Obviously, Scaffold is amazing, right? But I'm sure you will there are different frameworks or tooling that you think they are needed that we need to build to get more devs.
Yeah, for sure. And also on the point of what Luis mentioned, I would definitely listen to Luis, being very early to Amazon. But so what I was also going to add there is I think it's good to get something started very fast. That's what we do with Scaffold ETH. It's basically not a tool itself, but it uses certain tools so that developers can have a dApp up and running in less than 15 minutes. I think most people are doing that because what I see is the main challenge is, if you have if you're building an AWS application and you Google something, you will have a million results come out. So it's very easy to find answers to your solutions. Whereas in Web3, most products are being built so that you can have issues connecting, API is not ready. There are a lot of, you need to follow the GitHub repos almost every single day to see for updates. So that's why I think tools like Scaffold ETH are really helpful, where you can quickly bootstrap a decentralized applications and see how it works without kind of having all that extra work to just make something working. And there are many tools like that. We have Scaffold ETH as our tool. I know that Base has their on-chain kit, which basically you can integrate any component in your Web3 dApp. So you can directly have your wallet, your avatar. If you have an ENS, it automatically resolves. So instead of having an address, it will have your ENS name automatically displayed. So tools like that are really helpful, in my opinion. I know ThirdWeb has a really good abstraction as well, so you can directly use the APIs, which allow you to kind of not think about how things work in the backend. Because if you try to do a local dApp development, you basically need to spin up your own chain, and then you need to have your smart contract component. You need to learn how to set up a dApp, how that connects. You need to export your ABI. So there's just too many components involved, which you might just get frustrated and leave it in less than an hour. So I think tools like that are really helpful because once you have something up and running, then at least in my case, I'm okay, now how does this work? Let me dive in.
Yeah, we've seen the necessity of that. I mean, one of the things that we've really focused on is having templates that people can just easily clone. We've also invested a lot in our YouTube channel, and sort of the rule is if we're generating content about how to do something, there's an associated GitHub repo link attached so that people can immediately dive into the code and clone it, and sort of it gives them a good starting point for them, rather than them needing to start from scratch.
Our approach is a little bit different. So obviously, as a developer, you can find resources or projects that you can look at and start digging about how they have built in that particular application. Our approach is slightly different because we understand that these Web2 developers, they need to follow like a journey. So we gamified our experience, and what we provide them are different challenges for them to basically beat during their journey in our platform. So they start like apprentice. We provide them different activities for them so they can build their skills as they move along. These challenges don't have educational content. They already know how to program, and they already know how to build different applications. So it's more about challenge themselves to be able to complete that task. So they became as apprentice at the beginning, they became ninjas after they complete all the activities for apprentice. After ninja, they became sensei. So it's really gamified, and it's fun for them to basically beat this challenge. And we found that it was a very nice way for them to test themselves how much they are learning as they go, and also a good way for them also to interact with the crypto community and the other developers that are already trying to beat or do the same kind of challenge. So it's gamified, it's fun, and as they move along, they get into the rabbit hole, as we say, right? And they became more and more interested, and at that point, they will be looking for specific templates that we already have also in the application to basically see how they became like really professional on that, and they can start building very more sophisticated things.
Yeah, I remember my first touch point was with something called Crypto Zombies. I don't know if you like, it was super cool. But yeah. One big part was also like, let's not lock in developers, to standard templates. Let's also have developers that can export and, play with the tooling, with the frameworks, with like pre-template contracts, but then have them also, like, if they want, to just push the repo and build with anything that they want. And you both touch of, because I'm a big believer that it's not just about, the product ecosystem grow, but it's also about like what we are doing around your developer ecosystem grow. It's not just about product. You touched a little bit on like stuff like challenges, gamification. I just want to understand, like in a nutshell, like what are the things, and then we take some question from the audience. What are the things that works and don't work? Like more on a sustainable developer grow of your ecosystem.
I can talk about one of the experiments we're running right now. So I call it an experiment because we're still learning and we're trying. But one of the things that we've done is we recently launched like a startup program, actually. And so we have a cohort. That startup program, then they have a dedicated channel in our Discord. They have weekly office hours with various members of our team. Sometimes it's our product managers at Third Web. Sometimes it's someone like myself, a solution engineer, that they can talk about their things. We also provide incentives for them so that they can get started without worrying about needing to pay for any of the services, things like gas grants and other things. So I guess I focused on that one because you mentioned sustainable, right? Whereas a hackathon, we could see a burst of activity, but how sustainable it was, this is at least an attempt by us to see, can we sustain something here that creates maybe a little bit of a flywheel?
So in our case, it's very similar. I think that we take a little bit different approach to make it sustainable. So we tokenize the platform. So we are launching a token in which the core of the token is basically the developer activity that they have in the platform. So they will be able to make money if they build different things that are used by the community. So this is a different approach, and it's an approach that we think that is very appealing for specific developers that are probably not in Western economies, but basically in Latin America, Southeast Asia, and Africa, because basically that way they can basically make a living building things in Web3 that probably they don't have the opportunity to do it without that kind of mechanism. So we are collaborating a lot with the blockchains that we support. So we support EVM and non-EVM, and they basically provide rewards for these builders to build different things. We have Web3, what we call Web3 service providers as part of the ecosystem, in which they also get referral fees when we introduce them to some project that they are using their services. So we are really trying to create a Web3 economy that is what we are all excited about, in which the core is a developer, and the developer can benefit from whatever they are producing. So if they are building something that is meaningful and is good, they are going to make money out of that. And I think that is very exciting for the community, and especially for the Web2 developers that still don't know how that works. I think that is also very attractive to get them on board.
So I can add just one last thing. So in my opinion, the biggest way to build like a sustainable developer ecosystem is to have job opportunities afterwards. So you can like go through a boot camp, you can go to a hackathon, but in the end, will you get like a job that's not like, you know, in the limbo where you might be like, does this company work out? Does this not? So what we try to do is try to have developers create online portfolios, which then you can have like some cool projects in there instead of just like a counter application. So we have like speedrunethereum.com, which is completely free. So you can go there, complete some challenges, go ahead and build something yourself, and in the end, you'll be building like quite a few different projects from like token vendor to like your small Uniswap clone, etc. And then hopefully get a job in the ecosystem. But in my opinion, it's more like showing the job opportunities, seeing like where can you get hired? Is this job going to be like a long-term job? And once we get that, I feel like there will be more interest in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think definitely for the individual contributor, obviously jobs, grants, bounty programs are very important. If you're definitely like a startup, you want to go lower and lower in the funnel with a very like sustainable campaigns, like going accelerator is maybe like the initial part, but then like trying to maintain this accessibility in the ecosystem is super important. Cool. Any question from the audience? Let's take one max that we are a little bit on time. We're good? There you are, Christian. Let's do some spicy question here. There you are.
Yeah, okay. So my question is, what do you say to developers who come to you and say, I don't know, this whole thing seems like a scam? Like, how do you tell them and sort of inspire them to get started building on blockchains?
So the question is, you said if everything is a scam, so I didn't get the first part of the question, sorry.
Yeah, what do you say to developers who think that everything is a scam in our ecosystem? How do you help them understand the value and the ideals of what we're doing?
In our case, it's kind of easy because what we have is the real use cases that we are doing for companies that are zero speculative. So we can show them how some companies are doing traceability in blockchains to basically show to their customers that what they are doing in a transparent way, or the supply chain is transparent and worthy and really good. Exactly the same in terms of crypto payments, for example. So there are real use cases in which remittance and the ability to send money from one country to another country for half of the cost, not half, even 10 times less of the cost of what the banks are charging or the money transfer companies are charging is very appealing. So there are a lot of real use cases out there that the problem is that they are probably not very well known, because they haven't gone, most of them, to production. But, you know, we expect that people, as they know them, they will say, hey, I know how to make it better in my company. And maybe my company is not the first one or the top one, it's the top two. And with this, we can get better. So this is the kind of approach that we have. It's true that when we have in the market the meme coins and all this stuff, it becomes difficult to explain these kind of real use cases at real value compared to a lot of money that are making people just scamming others. But I think that if we really want to have mass adoption, it's about how we make whatever people are using better thanks to this technology, and not trying to bring them everyone to crypto and all the good and bad things that crypto has.
So, for example, like I would actually say that I used to think it was a scam as well. And then I kind of started to like read more about it, understand more about it. So that's the perspective. Like for me, I got in quite late. So it's been like 2.5 years in the crypto space. And I was like, I wish someone actually explained to me before. So then I still think, well, people still say it's early. But yeah, I feel like I would just say, you know, this is why I think it's not. And
I think we're also just on the verge, right? Like, and maybe we've seen just this past month the first mass market adoption of crypto, which is Telegram, right? Because you're talking about 800 million active users on Telegram worldwide. So there's a front end now that actually, whether people know they have a wallet or they don't have a wallet, whether they know that the game that they're tapping on or whatever, I mean, maybe the farmers know about that, but I do think that we are on the verge. Maybe some of you heard about Sony, and Sony's launching their own chain, right? So there's things here where it just feels like there's going to be apps we'll all be able to point to, and people may not even know that it has anything to do with blockchain. And I think when that happens, then it really becomes, it sells itself.
Sounds good. I think we're good. So yeah, round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so much.